The Joker is one of the most iconic characters in movie and comic book history, so everybody gets pretty darn interested whenever a new version of him pops up. We saw that happen just a couple of years ago with Jared Leto in Suicide Squad, and that one was kind of hit or miss. Even the director of Suicide Squad, David Ayer, was like, yeah, maybe I overdid it with that damage tattoo on his forehead, but now the world's eyes have turned to the latest version of the Joker that's going to be played by Joaquin Phoenix. All we're getting is random clips and photos from the set of that movie, and honestly, it's hard to tell what exactly is going on there. As far as we know though, the Joker movie is going to be completely disconnected from the DCEU, but today we're going to take a look at how its star Joaquin Phoenix himself is actually super connected to the DC universe. Before we jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell if you want to stay up to date with all our new stuff. First off, let's take a look at his connection to El Diablo from Suicide Squad. That fire guy that suddenly was like, what's up everybody, did you know I could turn into a big fire guy? And then, he immediately died and stuff. Well, although it might have been tough to recognize him under all that zombie boy makeup, Big Fire Guy was played by Jay Hernandez. And back in 2004, Hernandez played a different kind of fire guy as firefighter Keith Perez in the movie Ladder 49, a movie that starred Joaquin Phoenix in the lead role as Jack Morrison. Next, let's take a look at his connection to Amy Adams, who plays Lois Lane in the DCEU. Amy Adams has been in a whole lot of Oscar-winning movies. Batman v Superman was not one of those, but for the most part, she definitely knows how to pick her films. One of the Oscar-winning movies she was in was called Her in 2013, which won for Best Original Screenplay. That whole movie was about Joaquin Phoenix falling in love with an operating system. And bonus connection, Amy Adams was also in The Master, another Joaquin Phoenix-led Oscar-nominated movie. Moving on to another DCEU character with lovely long red hair, Lex Luthor is played by Jesse Eisenberg in the DCEU, and his connection to Phoenix goes way back to the beginning of his career. When he was 21, he played a character named Jameson in The Village from M. Night Shyamalan, the movie that kind of started the downward spiral of Shyamalan movies. After this one, he did Lady in the Water and then The Happening. They barely even put his name on After Earth. Anyway, after Joaquin Phoenix starred in the pretty well-received movie Signs from M. Night Shyamalan in 2002, he decided to give him a leading role in The Village in 2004. And that is our connection from Phoenix to Eisenberg. For yet another direct connection between Phoenix and the DCEU, we have Connie Nielsen and Russell Crowe. Kind of a double whammy on this one. Connie Nielsen was one of the badass warrior women in Wonder Woman and Justice League, and actually plays Diana Prince's mother, Queen Hippolyta. And funny enough, in the movie Gladiator back in the year 2000, her character had a little romantic thing with Maximus, played by Russell Crowe, who plays Superman's dad in the DCEU. And Joaquin Phoenix has a direct connection to both those DCEU parents thanks to that movie, seeing as he played the bad guy in Gladiator. Brother of Lucilla, killer of Maximus, and all around just a character you'd absolutely love to punch in the face. Now moving away from the direct connections here, Joaquin Phoenix has a pretty interesting connection to Ben Affleck, who of course plays sad Batman in the DCEU. Back in 2004, Ben Affleck played a character named Drew Latham in the movie Surviving Christmas. The whole idea behind the movie is that he's this wealthy guy who doesn't have anyone in his life. So as Christmas approaches, he decides to pay a family a bunch of money to pretend they're his parents. And one of those parents is played by the late, great James Gandolfini, who is our connection to Joaquin Phoenix here. See, 5 years prior to Surviving Christmas, Gandolfini was in a movie called 8mm, in which Nicolas Cage solves a mystery in the world of underground pornography. Not the best reviewed movie in the world for sure, but also in that movie playing adult video store employee Max California was our guy Joaquin. Not the most glorious roles any of those people played for sure. But speaking of most glorious roles, for Gal Gadot, you have to imagine it's Wonder Woman. Leading up to that role, her biggest claim to fame was playing a character named Giselle in some of the Fast and Furious films. She joined that franchise in the 4th movie in 2009, and it was actually her first ever film role, which is a pretty good one to land as a first movie, to be honest. And her second ever film role is her connection to Joaquin Phoenix here. In 2010, she played Netanya in the movie Date Night, a film where Tina Fey and Steve Carell have an insane date night. And also in that movie was Mark Ruffalo, who back in 2007 starred in a much less funny movie called Reservation Road. His co-star in that movie, as you might have guessed, was Joaquin Phoenix. Finally, to wrap up these DCEU connections, we're diving into the ocean to see his connection to Aquaman himself, Jason Momoa. And interestingly enough, this connection also connects Phoenix to the X-Men universe. See, in 2014, Jason was the big bad guy in an underwhelming werewolf movie called Wolves. And the star of that movie was Lucas Till, who you probably recognize as Havoc in the latest batch of X-Men films. And Lucas Till is our Phoenix connection here because of a small role of his back in 2005. In the movie Walk the Line, he played Johnny Cash's older brother Jack, who died when they were young. And of course, the older version of Johnny Cash was played by Joaquin Phoenix, a role that got him one of his 3 Oscar noms. And so there you have it. Even though it seems like the new Joker movie won't have anything to do with the DCEU, Joaquin Phoenix himself still has some pretty interesting connections to it. If you have any other interesting ways of connecting him to the DCEU, let us know in the comments section below. And as a special little challenge for the comments section, can you connect Christian Bale to Ben Affleck in 6 movies or less? Let us know how you did it. Please do consider liking this video and subscribing to Screen Rant if you'd like to stay up to date with all our new stuff. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.